Hi there, warriors, and welcome to a new live stream on the Uruguayan Heroes YouTube channel. And today we are excited, or I'm excited at least, because Uruguay is back after 2 months away, and Uruguay have the destiny in their own hands. Will Uruguay go to the World Cup in Qatar? Um, I'm confident, but obviously still 2 games left to play. Well, first off, the surroundings a little bit different, maybe a bit chaotic, but it's the way it is. I couldn't do it in another way today, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, thanks to you all for being here. I see already a comment in the chat from Bern Roddy, who says that he sadly cannot be here, which is a shame. But I mean, brilliant for you to say it, and hopefully you can be here soon. Maybe after we have beaten Peru on Thursday. Let's see. Let's see. So yeah, the schedule is as following. Uruguay will play Peru first on Thursday, and then in the next week, Uruguay will travel to Santiago to play Chile. But in essence, Uruguay could already go to Chile knowing that they've already qualified for the World Cup directly. So that's a really comforting thought, for sure. But yeah, for that to happen, we need to beat Peru at home in the Centenario, a Centenario which is already sold out and which will be full of expecting of really hopeful and hopefully at the end of the game happy Uruguay fans, because the feeling for the first time in a long time, to be honest, is positive, with Diego Alonso coming in and immediately stepping his foot down and making some changes. Uruguay look a different team, not a complete team, not perfect, but it's getting to a good level. And I think we will see an improvement this international break. Last international break, Uruguay beat Paraguay away from home and Venezuela at home with a 4-1 scoreline, and there was a lot of positivity, a lot of intensity, pressing high up the pitch, which we have not seen a lot under Tabares, and also some good football and some goals, obviously against Venezuela. And at home against Peru is a team that is currently, I will look it up because I want to be sure, but I think they are fifth. Um, so Peru is in the mix. I spoke with two Peruvians, Peru fans today, one, and last week another, to talk about the game. And Peru is in the mix for sure. They are now at the fifth place with 21 points. Uruguay have 22. Ecuador have 25, who are third. Ecuador, I think they are in it. I believe they are in it. They are in the World Cup, and fair play to them because they've done really well this qualifying campaign. But obviously, Chile are 90 points, Colombia are 17, and Bolivia are 15. Well, they are out basically. But the thing that's interesting, if Uruguay beat Peru on Thursday, they will move 4 points from Peru. So Peru cannot reach them anymore with 1 game to go. The other thing, Chile will travel to Brazil on the same match day as Uruguay play Peru. So if Chile do not win, which is obviously very realistic, so even a draw, if Uruguay win against Peru, this result, so Uruguay or Chile losing or drawing against Brazil, this result means that if Uruguay win against Peru, Uruguay are directly in the World Cup. Probably my explanation wasn't that clear, but basically, if Uruguay win at home against Peru, there are really good chances that Uruguay will be in the World Cup directly, even without playing the last game. Which is, I mean, going away in Chile. It's never an easy game. We know this throughout the years, certainly with the rivalry, which has been, well, it has been there for a long time, but certainly in recent years, that's fired up more. So going away to Chile with qualification not sure yet, would be an absolutely brilliant game if you are a neutral, but would be really nervous and really nerve-wracking to experience this as a fan. But we will see. First off, we are going to talk about Peru, and also we are going to talk about the squad and the players who are in there or who are not in there and maybe should have been. But this will be just a minor topic of discussion because it's no point in talking about it right now because we are here with the 26 men that have been called up, and I'm fully confident that they will do the job. So yeah, me gusta gaming and Nicolas Hernandez Vidal already with some comments. Good to see you both there, and everybody who's here. Please, if you want, like the video. And yeah, let's get it going. And please let me know your opinions on what is your feeling going into this international break. Because for myself, a lot of time in the last few, certainly last 2 years, I go into an international break with obviously always this excitement of seeing Uruguay, but also this overwhelming feeling of well, not disappointment, because the disappointment mostly came after the international break, after the results, but a bit of negativity, because although you always have hope, in every circumstance, you always try to have hope for things to go well, but you have to be a realistic little bit. And under Tabares, this realism was not really well. It brought you to negative thoughts in terms of how we would do. But now with Alonso coming in, I'm coming into this international break full of confidence, of positivity, and just excitement to see how we will play. Um, so yeah, Nicolas Hernandez Vidal with the comment: "Hi, super excited and nervous." Yeah, I can imagine. I'm the same, man. For the game on Thursday, and it will be a beautiful game. I hope so, but it seems to be, or it's set to be, a beautiful game. Sold out Centenario, it's completely sold out for a game where Uruguay can qualify for the World Cup if everything goes well. That is just, I mean, that's exciting. It's you never know how it's going to end up, but it has all the ingredients to be a really, really good night. Ecuador has secured at least. Yeah, you are right. They have already secured this fifth place. So top four, not yet, but yeah, I believe they will be there, and I think they deserve it. Danny F says, I hope we have the same lineup as the Venezuela game. Please God, no Muslera or Vecino starting. Yeah, this will be interesting to see. The big question is Muslera or Rochette. Rochette. I think Rochette did okay. I didn't think he was spectacular, but he also did not have a lot to do in the last international break. But I believe we should stick with Rochette, because Muslera, he has played one game in the last 3 months because of injury. And although Rochette has not played a lot as well, because also the stop in the Uruguayan football season, for me, he is at this moment in time, at this moment in his career, a better goalkeeper than Muslera. Because Muslera, I mean, I have a lot of appreciation for him, for his career, and for the things he's done for Uruguay as well. But it's been one mistake, or not one, a few mistakes too many for Muslera in the Uruguay shirt. And the thing I want to see, and we already have seen it a little bit with Alonso, but I want to see it more, is that Alonso picks his team based on who deserves to play, based on the way they play for Uruguay, but also for their club, and not to see the same names occurring again, because we are not blind. We can see which players are not performing well and which players deserve a chance. So yeah, you also mentioned Vecino. I think Vecino, that's just my opinion. Maybe you disagree, but I don't think Vecino should have been called up. I think he has played probably 4 or 5 full games, if you add all the minutes, for Inter all season. Then you have someone like Ugarte, who's broken through for Sporting Club de Portugal. He's even benching Palhinha, which is a national team player of Portugal. So these are the type of talents that emerge and immediately show what they are about. You could even talk about Cesar Arajo from Orlando City, although it might, and I think it's too early. But I thought it was a bit of a strange decision to keep out Ugarte and to take with us Vecino. But I mean, that is just my personal preference. But I already knew that Vecino would be on there, because you can clearly see with Alonso that for these last few games of the qualifiers, he wants to bring his own players in, but he also wants to have this solid base. And Vecino, Cáceres, Godin, and I think Godin should be there, by the way. I think Godin should always be in the squad. Should he play? Sometimes I don't believe he should, but he is our captain. He should be in there. But these players, Vecino, Cáceres, like I mentioned, they will always be in these final few squads. We will see if they will be when it comes to the World Cup, if we qualify. I don't want to jinx it, but for now, it's clear that they are part of this group. They have been there for a long time, and it would be probably a bit too much of an upset to, yeah. So that is why I think he is in the squad. But going back to your comment, Danny, um, I think Vecino should not start as well. I think our midfield clearly should be Torreira, Valverde, Bentancur. If we play with the three-man midfield. If not, well, we have choices because we have quite, as we all know, good midfield talents. But I think Vecino should not start. Yeah. Okay, let's get to some more comments. Thank you all for the comments, by the way. Really interesting to hear your opinions, and so we can get this conversation going. Um, yeah, Nico Star Gaming says, I feel like we cement ourselves as the second strongest team on the continent. We will be both Peru and Chile, and Colombia will sneak in the revanche. Um, I think I think we can become this, the second strongest team in the continent because I think Argentina is having a brilliant period, but I don't think Uruguay should shy away from this chance. But there's still some work to do for sure. For now, Argentina with Brazil are the strongest teams on the continent for sure. But Uruguay should always push for Argentina and Brazil. And I think with the upcoming generation, who are already consolidating themselves in the top of European football, I think the future is exciting. So yeah, we can surely do this. Um, you think we will beat both Peru and Chile? I hope so as well. And Colombia is the fifth place. I think it's an interesting discussion because obviously we are focused on Uruguay, but I think it's interesting to see who will go to the World Cup as well. Obviously, I think Ecuador is will be there. I mean, that's a direct qualification. I don't think they will even drop down. I think they will stay third because I think they're a really good team. Then Uruguay hopefully fourth, and then it's between Colombia and Chile, in my opinion, or I think Colombia, Chile, and Peru. I mean, um, and I think Peru will do it. But Peru's last game is against Paraguay, and I think they will win this one. Paraguay are on the beach basically, and they have nothing to play for. It seems they cannot go to the World Cup anymore, and I think it's a pretty dispirited campaign from Paraguay, which is a shame. And Colombia, they just seem to be missing goals. Don't score, and for me, it's a mystery because they have some good attacking options, mainly Luis Diaz, but they just don't seem to get it going in front of goal. And they have on paper two easy games. I mean, it's never easy, but Bolivia at home and then Venezuela away, so they could get to 6 points. Who knows? They could, and then they will be in the in the debate because Colombia has 70 points, so these two wins will bring them up to 23 points, and then there will be. I mean, then they could be in the fifth place. But I think Peru will win at home against Paraguay, which will which will get them to 24 points. So I just believe Peru will be there, but we will see. Both teams will be good additions to the World Cup if they obviously then go on to qualify via the playoff. But that's all ifs, buts, maybes. Let's see on the game against Peru. I'm really excited, as I sense you are as well, because how can you not be excited for this game? Um, My golden camisa comes in on the 25. Okay, you have a Godin shirt. Um, I mean, that's brilliant. On the 25th of March, please tell me if I'm talking crap and I don't understand your comment, but I think that's what you mean. Because Nagema, I mean, second message from indicates that we are better right now. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a positive change with Argentina. I don't think we are not going into Argentina a lot now, but the thing is that is what I see with Argentina, the progression as a team, that they are less Messi dependent. Obviously, Messi makes a lot of difference, but as a team, certainly also in the defense with Lisandro Martinez, Cristiano Romero, I think they are stronger as a unit. And obviously, Messi makes a difference, but Argentina were really Messi dependent, like Uruguay were with Suarez a few years back. And I think Argentina for sure, and also Uruguay, their their strength is more collective right now. Yeah, yeah. Muslera has made a lot of howlers. I wouldn't say some of them were, but not good goalkeeping. So, yeah. Um, Daniel says Ugarte and Arabai should have gotten a call up instead of a Chino. Completely agree. I mean, I cannot add or I mean that's just the truth, or at least that's also my opinion. But it's the way it is. Nicolas Hernandez Vidal says, I hope Torreira replaces Vecino now. I assume he would have been a starter last time if it wasn't for COVID. Let's see. It's a good comment because, I mean, Torreira obviously went out with COVID last time, as you say. Maybe he would have played, I don't know. But the thing is, um, Torreira has just been brilliant for Fiorentina this season. And he has scored two. He has scored 2 goals in the last few weeks, which is obviously always brilliant because I mean he grabs the headlines and that's beautiful. But his game overall for Fiorentina in the midfield, distributing possession, recovering the ball. Um, I watch Fiorentina a lot because I love Lucas Torreira. He's one of my favorite players, to be fair. So to see him back playing regularly, doing well, it's just brilliant to see because we all know what period he went through with his mother, and also his inactivity in Arsenal first and then to Atletico Madrid. So it's brilliant to see a player we all value, I think, as Uruguayan national team fans or Uruguayan, whatever, or wherever you come from, just a fan of Uruguay. Um, he is a player you just cannot dislike because he always gives his absolutely everything for the team, and he's a quality player. Don't get this twisted. It's not like he is only. You know what? When he came through, um, as a young player. I remember describing him on Twitter back then, and I was saying, and maybe I was wrong, but this is some description I thought was right. He is Arafala Rios, but way better football player. He has this grit, this caracharua, like Arafalo did, and I loved Arafalo as well, by the way. But besides this, he has so many qualities on the ball, which makes him just a really good player for Uruguay, and just 25, 25 years of age. And for me, he should always be one of the first names on the team sheet for Uruguay if he's in form, playing well, playing regularly. And this is the case right now. So, like Nicolas Hernandez Vidal says, I will say Nicolas. To say all the 3 names, it's maybe a bit too much. So, Nicolas, like Nicolas said, I would hope that he replaces Vecino in the starting lineup. I think he deserves it. I think we deserve it because we want to see the best team play. And he surely, in my opinion, is part of Uruguay's best 11. I was meant to drink some water because I'm getting a really dry mouth. By the way, you liking this one? I mean, I'm at my father's right now, at my father. So yeah, it's his collection, it's his style. So yeah, don't. It's not mine, but it's okay. Um, Okay. Team Mess says, do you think goalkeeper is the weakest position right now? We don't seem to have any young prospects that have broken through in Europe, not on a first team. That's a good point. I mean, I think it's one of the weakest positions we have for sure. Um, but there are still the thing is with Uruguay's goalkeepers that no, we don't have a star goalkeeper or a good goalkeeper in a European league. I mean, like the top 5 leagues. Muslera, however way you want to look at him right now with his errors of late, he has still had a brilliant career in Europe with Galatasaray and also played a lot of games and also a lot of good games for Uruguay. But if you look at the top 5 leagues or even in Portugal and the Netherlands, Uruguay don't have a goalkeeper who's playing there. And if he is, then he's not really doing well because I haven't noticed him. And I keep a really good notice of every Uruguayan abroad, to be fair. So that's a shame because that's what you want ideally. And Uruguay have a lack of this for sure, or it's non-existent. But Uruguay do have a lot of good goalkeepers playing in South America. For example, Guillermo de Amores, who was the best goalkeeper of the Under 20 World Cup in 2013. We have obviously Rochette, who is, I think, he's a good goalkeeper. Is he top? Is he good enough to go and make it in Europe? Probably not, because he's been there before and didn't do well enough. So it's a problem when you look at the future. And another good point you make is that there are not really young prospects right now who are really breaking through somewhere. I mean, the Peñarol goalkeeper of the Under 20 Copa Libertadores this year, I thought he was a good goalkeeper. I still think he is. Who knows? Santiago Mele is an interesting name. Franco Israel at Juventus. I mean, he has been hailed or seen as probably the next Uruguay number one. But we also have to realize he's 21, 22 years of age, and he's still playing for Serie A, for Juventus B team. So yeah, it's hard to see, but who knows? You never know. This gem of a player, this really talent of a player, can suddenly pop up and break through. And let's hope this will be the case, because you know what? If Uruguay have a goalkeeper who is top quality for the next 10 years, then it's looking really good, because this is probably one of the only positions that Uruguay are really lacking when you look at the next generation. There's a lot of quality in the next upcoming generation, and I'm talking about under 23, under 25. These kind of players that could play in an ideal world for 10 years for Uruguay. So yeah, the goalkeeper position, like you say, is certainly an area which yeah, needs to be looked at, and hopefully we can have someone that is the undisputed number one for us soon. Migusta Gaming says Cesar Arajo is an interesting choice, but to ice the game, the other day he started switching the field perfectly during a possession that I really feel like we missed that. Yeah, okay. I didn't really understand the middle part, but I understand what you're trying to say. I mean, I've watched him for Orlando as well. I think I watched 2 of the 4 games or 3 of the 4 games. I think they have 4 games already, and he's played every game or started every game, and he's done really well. And I think he is a really interesting player. Not similar, but he has a little bit of the same characteristics of Torreira, but a different player. But kind of a little bit of similarity. But he's an interesting player for sure. He's a good player, but I think you say we miss that. You know, the jobs he does on the pitch, the player he is. I think Torreira can do this quite well. But Arajo, like Ugarte as well. I mean, that's the thing. Arajo, I can understand that it's maybe too early, but Ugarte, I think he should have been on the list. You know, but yeah, well, hopefully soon or in the future he will surely be there again, because he's a quality player. Daniel says Uruguay have Mele in Union Santa Fe in Argentina. Europe isn't the only place where there's football. No, but I get what you mean. But I think Team S, yeah, that's the name, right? Yeah, he makes a good point, because obviously there are a lot of good players in South America, and I'm the first to agree with you on this. You know, football is not only in Europe. Absolutely right. But Santiago Mele is a good goalkeeper, but you also have to remember he went to Turkey and he didn't play a game, or hardly a game, in 2 years. So there's still the jury. The jury is out on him, in my opinion. Uh, so yeah, but let's see. Let's see. By the way, Union Santa Fe, managed by Gustavo Munua, who was a former goalkeeper, also played a few games for Uruguay, I think. He is the manager right there, and he's doing a good job. That's also always nice to see. And I think Gustavo Munua, Alexander Medina at Internacional right now is struggling a little bit. Hopefully they give him time, but we all know the nature of South American football, and certainly Brazilian football. Sometimes you don't get this time, and it's a hard one to take. Paulo Pezzolano for Cruzeiro, doing a good job. I mean, Guillermo Amada, brilliant job for Pachuca in Mexico. Interesting times. A lot of interesting, promising Uruguayan managers who also have an age. Maybe Almada is a bit older, but for sure Munua, Pesolana, Medina, they are all of an age which is young age as a manager, with a lot of potential to maybe one day make it in Europe. Because that's what I would love to see, a Uruguayan manager doing well or having a chance even in Europe. The only one I can remember is Gustavo Poyet. And also, I forgot his name, but a way back or a few years back, there was a Uruguay manager in France who done really well. But I forgot his name right now. So, but there not been many, you know, maybe in the past 20, 30, 40 years ago. But when you look at the recent past, it's been too little. And it's a shame, because it's not like Uruguay don't make good managers. That's the opposite is true. Bolivia has a chance, even it's a final against Colombia. I mean, you're probably right. Maybe I overlooked Bolivia a little bit. No, I'm sorry. Not okay. They theoretically it can happen. Okay, they got 15 points. Peru have 21. But I mean, literally every result has to go for them, and they have to win both the games, and they will play. Um, no, they will play away in Barranquilla against Colombia, and then at home against Brazil. It can happen. Obviously, it can happen. I mean, I'm not trying to. You're right, theoretically, but yeah, I don't think it is the way. I don't think they will. But I think it's a shame, by the way, because Bolivia, you can. It's always they always make something happen in these qualifiers. Um, and the result against us, obviously the 3-0 a few months back, was a hard one to take, but you have to give credit to them. And they always make something happen in these qualifiers. They always have this story which just makes the headlines. For example, against Argentina, all these years back, I think it was the 6-1. So it's a good addition. Obviously, they are always a good team to have with in the table. Yeah. Jorge Cepero says, "What's up, man? Sorry about your Twitter account. Hopefully, Araujo and Valverde are friends after what happened yesterday." Yeah, everything is okay here. Hopefully, it's with you as well, Jorge. Yeah, the Twitter account suspended again. Hopefully, it will be back in a few weeks. I have confidence that this will happen, but I'm not getting my hopes up, to be fair, because yeah, it's the way it is. Twitter, or not really Twitter, mostly the anti-piracy departments of La Liga or the Premier League. I mean, I just don't get it there. But yeah, it's down again. You can follow me at Uruguay Heroes, which is the backup account, and I will still give you the daily updates, obviously, because we're not stopping. If maybe Twitter wants to stop us, but I'm sorry, I want to keep it going. And about Araujo and Valverde, I mean, this was a crazy game, right? I mean, I was watching it with two of my friends, and I don't really. Just a really crazy game, and Barcelona absolutely scored Madrid. But I think Madrid should shoot themselves in the foot when you're pressing this high against likes of Alba, Dembele, and Torres, and Real Madrid just didn't. The defense just didn't seem confident to commit too much yards or too much meters back in the back of them. So they didn't really commit too much forwards. They hardly got to the midway line, and then the gap in midfield, or the gap from their defense to the attack, was so large that Pedri, Frankie de Jong, Busquets, these type of players just had a field day and could play right through the midfield. And I think Valverde, I mean, Araujo scored the goal, and it was brilliant. Araujo playing at right back against Vinicius, one of I think, the best wingers in Europe this season, playing like he did, and also scoring the goal from the corner. There's no words sometimes that you can talk about with Araujo. There's no words to describe him, because you have to remember 3 or 4 years ago, he was playing second division football or first division football in Uruguay, and then a couple of years before, second division football in Uruguay. And now he's there and doing so well and developing just weekly. It's just crazy. And I mean, he's just, yeah, not many words to describe him. He's just brilliant. And Valverde, credit to him, probably one of the only players from Madrid who could leave the field with their head held high, because he was really good. And I'm just saying it because he's Uruguayan, obviously, because I always try to be a little bit, or hopefully completely objective. Not always is the case, but I think he did really well. Ken Johnson, good to see you. Good to see you here, Kent. Why 4 goalkeepers for 2 games instead of an extra defender, Espino, or midfielder Ugarte? I don't get it. You know what? I don't really get it as well. I think initially in the first squad list, COVID was more on the headlines, to be fair, and the fear of players dropping out with COVID, which has been the case in the past, certainly in 2021, it happened a few times for sure. The fear was that maybe 2 would get COVID or 1 an injury, and then they would be left with 1 or 2 goalkeepers. And this is the reason why they went with 4. I think it was even 5 at one point, but to be honest, I don't really agree with it either, and certainly not when you have options like Espino or Ugarte, who can come in and can be an addition of quality to the squad. But it's the way it is. I mean, you know what? There's some things I don't agree with when it comes to the squad. But I made this promise to myself to be that this is a different story. With Tavares, you had this long-standing irritations, frustrations with how things were going. With Alonso, it's different. So, we can mention it, but I wouldn't. I don't go into it too much because I have confidence in Alonso. Jorge Cepero says, "What would your starting 11 be against Peru?" Yeah, good question. I think I went to Twitter already to talk about it, but still not completely sure, to be honest. Because there are different variations. And by the way, please let me know your 11. I'm interested to hear what would you be your 11 against Peru. Maybe with the tweet I did last night, I made it out that this was clear for me, but I was also doubting a little bit, to be fair. But I would probably go. You know what? Godin, I think he did really well, especially against Paraguay. Would I? He's our captain, obviously. Would I play him? When you ask me, I'm not thinking about how Alonso would do it, or you know what? I'm just thinking about how I would want to play, and I wouldn't play him still because I would go with, play with Rochette, Oliveira, Jimenez, Arajo. I think Coates. You know what? Probably now with Jimenez coming to form again, and consistently playing. I'm sorry, and Arajo being at the level he is, probably Coates is a little bit below this level. But I feel a bit for Coates because in the last 2 years there were plenty of opportunities for him to get this chance to play because he was arguably the best defender, Uruguayan defender at the moment. Central defender. But now I think this boat has sailed a little bit, and I would play with Jimenez Arajo. Then I would go with Damian. I think he deserves it. And I also think he is our best right back. You can argue go with Godin and Arajo right back. And I wouldn't be against this, and I think it will probably happen. I'm pretty sure it will happen. But yeah, if you ask me, I would go with Arajo and then Damian right back. Midfield is an interesting decision because you can either go with two and then go probably how Alonso would prefer to play with the 4-2-3-1, or you go with the diamond in midfield and Dallas Guetas the number 10, which I prefer, to be honest, because the width on the pitch, this will be provided for sure by Oliveira, and also with Damian, especially Oliveira, to be honest. But I can understand why you would think Pelistri deserves to play, even though he has played like 5 minutes since the last international break. But for the way he played against Venezuela, for sure, wouldn't be a surprise to see him play again. Because why would you change such a player after such a brilliant performance? But the thing is, obviously, it's 3 months ago, and he has played, like I said, 5 minutes since then. So that's a difficult decision. But for now, and if you disagree with it, I can understand it, by the way, because we probably will go with wingers, and maybe it's the best decision. But I would go with Torreira at the base of midfield, like the number 5 or the number 6. It's different in every football country. For some, the number 5 is the left back. For some, it's the central defensive midfielder. I will go with the number 5 for Torreira then. Bentancur Valverde at either side of Torreira. Dallas Guedes, that's the number 10. Suarez as the fixed striker, so really as the focal point, and Darwin Núñez as someone who is more mobile. And the reason why I want this with 2 strikers is because Darwin, he can play as a sole striker, for sure he can. But the best games from Darwin, certainly for Benfica, have been when he was playing with another striker. So he can go to the flanks, get into pockets of spaces, run the channels. I think he's the best in this scenario. But okay, this is my opinion. Please let me know your opinion. I'm interested to hear it a lot. Bern Roddy says he reminded me of Gargano when he exploded in Sampdoria. Talking about Torreira, obviously. By the way, Bern Roddy, good to see you here. Obviously, the comment before the stream saying that you probably cannot make it all the stream, but I appreciate you as well as everybody here, by the way, to be here and talk about the most beautiful team in the world. Um, but you're right. I mean, Gargano. I think Torreira even said that Gargano was one of his examples because he was this small player playing at the same position as Torreira was breaking through for Sampdoria, and he was one of his examples, and he had big similarities. I think Gargano, I think Torreira is even a better footballer, but Gargano was this dynamite, this block of dynamite, and yet Gargano. I mean, we don't mention him a lot anymore, even if we are looking at the teams of the past. We normally think about Arevalo, but Russo Perez, Tata Gonzalez, but Gargano. Of these three, Gargano probably had the best career when you look at the whole career, club career, because he played countless of games for Napoli when they were in a really good period of their history. So yeah, nice to mention a hero of the past, a warrior of the past, if you like. Um, Ken Johnson says that missing tooth fits Torreira perfectly. He's a hockey player. Yeah, he's talking obviously about the game against Inter. Torreira scored, but also lost his lost his tooth in the game. Didn't really matter for him, obviously. Always going through whatever happens to him. I mean, these were some hilarious images. Even when he after the game on Instagram, he posted this picture of him at the doping control and with the missing tooth, which always has a funny. I mean, it just seems a bit daft, but a bit funny to be fair, and certainly when it's on Torreira because he's a bit of a mad one. Um, Aja Gulzar. Oh, by the way, now I see you in the chat. It reminds me on the question you asked on Twitter. Who is the best Uruguayan player in the world at this current moment? Which is a really interesting question, but also a hard question because we can go with Darwin because he has just scored against Ajax and has goal scoring wise the best season of any Uruguayan. But football, as we all know, is more than just goals. That's why I would always go with Suarez ahead of Lewandowski. Suarez might be past his peak right now, but Suarez, for the majority of his career, was a goal scoring machine. But not just this, was so much more as a player. Playmaking, dribbling, pressing was the full package. But that's another debate, a debate which probably will take us well a lot of time. But yeah, the question was obviously who is the best Uruguayan football player at this current moment. I think it's a hard one to answer, but I would do it anyway. In my opinion, it's Federico Valverde. For the total package he offers, he's a real complete midfield player. He has still another step to go to in his game for sure. He can develop obviously a tremendous amount still, but even at this current level, he is a brilliant player, and I would go with Federico Valverde. Um, but please let me know your opinion. Who is your favorite? Not your favorite. It's different. Who's your best Uruguayan player at this moment in time? Darwin Nunez, Araujo, Bentancur, who started really well at Tottenham Hotspur. There are plenty of names. And the funny thing, or maybe it's sad a little bit, that for the first time in a lot of years, and maybe it's also been the case for the last 2 years, but normally these debates would be completely dominated by Suarez or Cavani. And now with these two players, these brilliant players, these legends, um, getting close to their retirement, the debate shifts on, and new names will be mentioned. New names will hook up the headlines for Uruguay, and that's both sad to see, but also really interesting and positive. So Ajay with another comment: respect Peru and their fans, but Diego Alonso needs to be aware of the talent that he has at hand and make a difference in quality between Uruguay and Peru noticeable on the pitch. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Peru is a good team, a good coach. I think they have played some good football at times. It has been a bit of a bogey side for Uruguay, certainly in the Copa of 2019. And we have had some tough games against them. But like you also say, Uruguay with the team we have, and now with the coach who recognizes this and play more to our strengths, shouldn't be afraid of Peru. Certainly not when you play at home at the Centenario in front of 50, 60,000 fans. Uruguay should win. It's and we all know this. It's we're not trying to be big-headed here. Obviously, maybe I've got a bit of a big head, but that's probably because COVID and eating a lot. But that's another discussion. um, but no, we should win in any scenario. Uruguay should win against Peru at home at the Centenario. You're absolutely right, in my opinion. So I will retweet or let know that the stream is still going, so people can join. And then we will move on. Uh, Let me do this, please. If I can find the tweet. There we go. Okay, so another comment from Jorge Cepero. Do you think Peru will play against Uruguay the way they played against Colombia? To be fair, I didn't watch the game against Colombia, so I wouldn't know. But I think Peru, you know what, Peru have traditionally have had a lot of speed in their front line. So if Godin plays, which I think this will happen, and Uruguay will take the game to Peru, then they will have space on the break, space behind Uruguay's back line. Um, so they will be looking at this, I think. Peru is a team that normally wants to play football, wants to create chances as well. But Uruguay will go. We will go at them. Uruguay will go right after them in the first few minutes, first 20 minutes, probably for sure. Yeah, I think it's the scene or the scenario that pops up to my head right now is probably Liverpool under Brandon Rodgers with Suarez playing in this 2013-14 season when Uruguay against Arsenal, against Manchester City, Tottenham Hotspur as well. In this first 20 minutes, Uruguay or Liverpool were this pack of lions, of wolves that went after their prey and hunted them down until well, they were dead basically because this was Liverpool in this season. And Uruguay, obviously, I mean, it's hard to replicate this in a national team when you have one week of training, but Uruguay will do this, will try to do this, will go after Peru in the first 20 minutes of the game, like we did against Venezuela. And I think we should. This is at home, and Uruguay should impose themselves on their opponents. And Peru will try to look at the break, maybe try to take control of possession as well. Um, but it's all up to Uruguay. Uruguay will dictate the game, in my opinion. Now, Amones could have been the next Rodolfo Rodriguez. Rodolfo Rodriguez, the name says a lot to me. I think this you have Hugo del no, it's the center back. Rodolfo Rodriguez. I think he was the goalkeeper that did really well in Brazil as well, right? I mean, Uruguay have obviously had some brilliant goalkeepers in the past. I mean, Ladislao Masurkovic, I probably pronounced this completely wrong, but obviously the best Uruguayan goalkeeper of all time, former Peñarol, was the 1970 World Cup best goalkeeper, voted as the best goalkeeper, seen by Lev Lashin, the Russian goalkeeper, the legendary Russian goalkeeper, as the next big thing in world football when it comes to goalkeeping. And Uruguay have had some brilliant goalkeepers, certainly playing in Brazil, if I can remember right. Roda Mores, or could he have been this? Maybe we don't know. Let's hope a goalkeeper of Uruguayan origin will just stand up and be this next big thing, because it will be a really good thing for Uruguay. Yeah. Nicolas, yeah, I mean, I think we mentioned it a little bit before, but it's probably of the fear for COVID and injuries, but especially COVID. I think it's a bit too much. It's a bit overcautious, but it's the way it is. But I agree with you that bringing another outfield player would have been better. But yeah, Gusta Gaming on Gargano. We had a chat about him a little bit earlier. You're right. Even until the late age, he has been a really good player for Peñarol. And there was also a little bit of talk maybe a few years back, maybe a year or two back, that he could have been back in the national team. But I think with Tabares, the relation had broken down because Gargano had some comments. We're talking about years back, which Tabares didn't like. So this is probably why the door has been closed for a lot of time. Jorge Cepero with his preferred lineup: Rochette, Araujo, Jimenez, Coates, Oliveira, Torreira, Bentancur, Valverde, Tarascaeta, Darwin, and Cavani. That's a really good team. I think it differs to my team on two places. Coates for Godin basically because Araujo is your right back, which I mean there's a lot to say for this. Absolutely. Cavani for Suarez. I think it's an interesting choice. I think Suarez and Cavani haven't played a lot both in the last few months. I still would think Suarez gets the nod because Cavani hasn't really played a lot all season. It's never been a stretch of probably 4 or 5 games where he played as a starter. Um, so I think Suarez is a little bit in front of Cavani, but I think both of them playing, I wouldn't think there's a lot of difference. So it's an interesting and a really good lineup, to be fair. Um, yeah, Goiki Sneeberger, that's my opinion as well. But to be fair, to play devil's advocate, Suarez has not played a lot as well in the last 2 months, which has been frustrating me a lot. And not to say that it's not right, because Suarez, I mean, it's understandable for the way he's been playing this season. But I mean, when you see a player you like love, like I do Suarez and probably you as well, um, then it's hard to see, I think. But this is the way it is. Um, Jorge Cepero says Peru played ultra defensive football against Colombia, and when they regained the ball, they couldn't even move forward. I think it was because Cueva wasn't playing, but it was really bad. Okay, yeah. Now you say this. So I was chatting with the Peruvian fan earlier today, and he was talking about this game as well, and that Uruguay really or Peru really got away with it there, and was probably a bit unbelievable for them to go in at Barranquilla and really have a smash and grab. 3 big points for them, but let's see if they're gonna play like this. I don't know. I mean, let, for me, I'm only thinking about Uruguay because even though Peru is an interesting opponent who have their own threats, I think if Uruguay play their own game, depend on their own strengths, there's no reason to be fearful of Peru. I say this with all respect, but Uruguay's Uruguay, I have confidence. Yeah. Yeah, Jorge Cepero, Masurkovic will always be remembered for the play with Pele. Yeah, absolutely. When he didn't score Pele at the end, but the dummy, the art of beating an opponent without touching the ball. You know what, Pele? You probably have watched it already, but on Netflix, there's a documentary from Pele. I think it was released probably like a year ago. It's about his life. Absolutely wonderful. I mean, just wonderful. But you probably watched it already. But yeah, Masurkovic what is commonly remembered for this in the wider audience. But I mean, he's also had a brilliant career. And to be fair, he already also played in in Spain for Granada. Granada, yes, he played for Granada. Only probably 1 or 2 seasons, but he played there. Fun fact, which I discovered when Matias Areso went to Granada last January. But okay, probably not. Probably doesn't add a lot to the stream, but I just want to put it in there. So, um, Nico Maxime says, "Hi, Twitter follower here. How's it going? I'm really curious to know how you discovered your love for La Celeste and why you love it so much. Uh, Thanks for being in, Nico. It's going all right. Hopefully, the same with you. By the way, um, the way I discovered my love or my affection and my fanatism, I don't know how to say it perfectly in English, for Uruguay is via Suarez. So Suarez played for Groningen. I live in Holland, the Netherlands, as probably most of you here who have been in the stream more times than one would have already known. Um, and when he went to Groningen, he was just this completely uh, extraordinary, out of control player. You know, did brilliant things, but also did some really weird things and had some off-field discipline issues. But he was just a different. He was just a unique player to see, and you could always see his talent. But he was so raw. So I always think it's pretty funny when people are talking about Suarez and the first time they lay eyes on them, for Nacional, for example, Groningen, that this one is going to be one of the best in the world. Because obviously you can have this statement, but Suarez didn't come through as but with Suarez, but he has developed this game just incredibly. I didn't think he was going to be the player he is today, or he has been when he was at the top of his game. Obviously, when he went to Ajax and kept developing, I think this guy, I mean, what is he doing right now? He's turning into this complete striker, this player that can do everything, scoring loads of goals. But when I first laid eyes on him at Groningen, I loved him, and he introduced me to the Uruguayan spirit, Uruguayan football. That's why how I fell in love with the Uruguay national team. But when I first watched Suarez, I thought I was his fan, was his number one fan, but long way to go. And funny enough, for Nacional, when he came through in his first 10 or 15 games, a lot of people were calling for him to be benched. He missed a lot of chances. And when you talk to Nacional fans who are of a certain age, a lot of people will tell you as well, if they're true, if they're honest, that they had their doubts as well with Suarez. And the funny thing about this is that with Suarez also is, or with Suarez, that the same is the case with Darwin Nunez. When Darwin came through for Peñarol and when he played for Uruguay under 20 at the Copa or the Sudamericana, basically Sudamericano, which is the under 20 South American Cup, so the under 20 Copa America, he was missing loads of chances, not looking like a player that was up to the level. But few months later, he was still the number 9 for Uruguay under 20 at the World Cup, the under 20 World Cup, and he was doing so much better, scoring goals, looking like a better player, in the space of a few months. And Darwin, I think I see a bit of similarity with Darwin and Suarez. Different players, completely different players, but players that are raw, are unorthodox, but have this something about have this something about them, and also this complete belief in themselves to grow from day to day, from year to year, adding things to their game and getting better and better and better. And yeah, I mean, I'm going a little bit off course because we were talking about why I love Uruguay, but yeah, it went via Suarez. When I was introduced to him as a player, I started to learn or to research more about Uruguayan football. Um, Obviously, about the underdog mentality, the Garacharua mentality, the history, and yeah, just got involved with Uruguay national team. And because I um, because I was on Twitter a lot back then as well. We're talking about probably 2010. Since then, I was on Twitter, but because I was following Uruguay football just as the national team in general. And when I started to get in Twitter, I thought, well, maybe I can do something about this. Start to create some content, start to share or share my love basically, or my appreciation, my fandom of Uruguay national team, and hopefully reach out to other people. Have some kind of community. So I started the account, and because my English is okay, I mean, speaking it's pretty bad as you can, as you can hear sometimes, but when it comes to typing and things like this, it's better, I think. So started to do it in English, and I think really enjoy it every day because we have quite a big community. I mean, obviously the account has been suspended now, but it's a lot of people, and a lot of people who are from all over the world who love this team, and I think that's the crazy and the really beautiful thing about it. Because you know what? First, when I started this account, and people were talking or asking me, "Where are you from?" I was always a bit scared to say that I'm from the Netherlands, because I was thinking, imagine someone in Uruguay who's following this team for all his life, being brought up on this team. Um, and then someone from the Netherlands, the other way from the world, um, who as well knocked Uruguay out of the 2010 World Cup, is gonna have this account and gonna be basically among us. So I was a bit skeptical about should I reveal it, but eventually I think it's I don't think it's a problem. And I yeah, this is the way it is. I mean, I probably would prefer to be born in Uruguay ahead of the Netherlands. So yeah, that's the way it is. Okay, let's move on to another comment. We talked a lot about me, which obviously not is not the way it should be here. Um, Joaquin Sneeberger says you mentioned Tabares, and I feel like he left so long ago. Yeah, I mean you're probably right because it feels very distant, and we are only talking about probably well, it's 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. Um, but yeah, it's a change for the good, as we all know. So that's the most important thing. Um, Colombia should have won against Peru, but like mentioned before, Colombia can't score right now, and they didn't risk a coach change. No, you're completely right. I mean, they can't score, and basically, I don't understand it, to be fair, because they have such a good attacking talent. I mean, Falcao is not what he used to be. I think Rafael Santos Bore used to be at River Plate. He's now in Germany, if I'm not wrong. He's also not scoring a lot of goals in Germany, but still they have a lot of options. And Luis Diaz, as we all know, probably for watching him with Porto, but now for Liverpool, he's just this unique attacking talent who can score a lot of goals as well. So it's a mystery for me. Mike Jones says, "My love for La Celeste all started with El Matador." Yeah, I think for me it's Suarez who was the introduction, but I believe that a lot of people all from all over the world, um, their introduction to La Celeste would be El Matador, Enzo Cavani, because apart from being a legend in Italy or for Napoli, I should say, a legend for Paris Saint Germain, he's also this unlike Suarez, who obviously has experienced these things in his career. Cavani is this. He's a poster boy to be clear. He's a poster boy who is really likable, in my opinion, anyway, among all football fans. Um, so he is a really good, how do you say, representation for Uruguayan national team. And when I'm talking about my Twitter feed alone, I have people liking or commenting on Cavani posts who are from all over the world, Singapore, all parts of Asia, by the way. A lot of people, a lot of fans of Cavani in Asia who I see on Twitter supporting him. So yeah, El Matador certainly is a lot. Is a introduction for a lot of people all over the world to La Celeste. Um, yes, Kees Meyer, thank you a lot. No, yeah, no, not so old, luckily at least. But yeah, few years more, and I will be there. But I already got the gray hairs, some of them, so getting close, getting close. But yeah, Jorge Cepero says, if you were the manager, would you start Pelistri? Maybe Suarez should start, like you said. I think it's a difficult one because Pelistri, um, he did so well against Venezuela. We could all see this, and we were all over the moon with this player coming in and doing so well. I mean, his dribble, which was and then the assist to Darasqueta, he won the penalty. But besides this, his constant directness in taking on opponents, his pressing, which was constant and tireless. You could see that he was the ideal player for Alonso coming in, and Pelistri came into the squad for the first time ever, and started the both games, which were absolutely vital, absolutely decisive as well for Uruguay, and enabled Uruguay to be in a position we are in right now. So Alonso loves him. Alonso really likes him, and he has qualities which are probably really essential to the way he wants to play. So he could start. I think he really could start. But the thing is, where I just can't really get my head around is that he has played only 5-10 minutes since the last international break, and we are talking about more than 2 months, probably. I think it's 2 months for sure. And is this down to himself? Is he not good enough? I don't believe this is the case. I think when you're playing for a team like Alaves, which is fighting against relegation. You're dealing with a manager, or not all managers, obviously, but a lot of the times these managers are under huge pressure, and they are not going to take risks. They want solidity. They want experience uh, to guide them through these games, to um, guide the team to escape relegation. And Pelistri is young, is exciting, but he is also, I mean, the nature of young players, or most of the young players, they are inconsistent. You don't know what you're gonna get. And Pelistri, to be fair to the Alaves manager, or Alaves as a club, has not been good, or has not been impressive in the first part of the season when he played quite a lot of games. So it's the way it is. He is not playing, which is a shame. Does this damage his chances of playing against Peru? I don't know. I probably don't think so, because if this was the case, and if Alonso would deem this unacceptable for him to play so little and still be called up, he wouldn't be called up. He wouldn't be called up, obviously. So the fact he's there and he's in the squad, I think he probably will start against Peru. Do I agree with this? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But um, I'm with Alonso. You know what Alonso does, I agree, or I'm behind it. Uh, Eugenio Rodriguez, yeah, I mentioned it. Probably when your comment was made. After this, I made or clarified it. But yeah, just so you know, the Netherlands, if you missed it, by the way. Um, Ajay Gulsar says, my love for Uruguay started with Forlan's dazzling performances in South Africa, and was truly established by Suarez handball. Yeah. I mean, I think um, South Africa 2010 would be, or probably is, the start for a lot of people to follow Uruguay, or to fall in love a little bit with Uruguay. A lot of people also started to hate Uruguay because of it. Certainly, the whole of Africa. Um, but yeah, it's that's the fun thing with Uruguay. It's just the way you view football, you look at football. If you're watching this World Cup, um, then there will be a lot of people who are these purists, these I mean these people that yeah, just they despise any form of cheating, and they will look at Uruguay and they think they are a little bit of a dirty team, who are a bit lot very pragmatic in this tournament, a bit nasty, a bit cynical, but they get jobs done, they get results, and they get under the skin of their opponents. And it's Suarez handball. I mean, um, we can all look at this. I mean, if you look at it as a neutral fan, and I would still do this, even I have my love for Uruguay, but I can switch to basically other person and look at it neutrally. Um, and I would still believe that he's done the right thing. I mean, you are fighting for your country to win the semi-finals of the World Cup, something that you've dreamed of all your life, to play for Uruguay. I mean, he has done what anybody with love for their country, and that's the thing. A lot of people, especially where I live in Europe, this this feeling of for their country, and certainly for the team they play for, the national team, it's not the same as players in South America or in Africa. So that's just a complete difference of viewing football, but also national team football, especially. But I still stand with the point that any player that loves his country, that wants to do the best for his country, does what Suarez did. But yeah, Suarez has always been on the bad side of history. For the purists, for the safe, how do we say it? I don't know, the good ones, yeah, the good ones in football. But football, you don't win with being a good or a fair. I mean, you like to win games in a fair way, but there are games where yeah, you have to bring something differently. And Suarez is the master of the dark arts. Uruguay is the master of the dark arts, but so is Italy, and they won the European Cup, or the Euros. So it does get results. Maybe for us it didn't in the last few years, but we will be back hopefully. Um, Jorge Cepero says happy birthday. Well, I mean, to be honest, the person that was talking about me, happy birthday, is a friend of mine. So yeah, he was taking the piss with me for saying I'm 30. I'm not 30. I turned 26 today, which is still for me would have loved it to be 23, but I'm 26 today. So thanks for the happy birthday. Thanks a lot, Jorge. I appreciate it a lot. Team S, peace, legend. You're going, you're going probably away. Thanks for being here, Team S. Appreciate your comments, and yeah, anybody who's listening, either if it's commenting or just watching, yeah, appreciate it a lot, man. Thanks. Um, Jorge Cepero says, let's hope Uruguay doesn't finish fifth and face Japan or Australia. I mean, the Australia option or possibility has received a completely different twist right now because, as you probably will know, Bruno Fornaroli, um, striker born in Uruguay, played for Nacional, was in the same youth teams as Suarez in certain years, but he's now playing in Australia for probably over, I think it's since 2015, and he's been called up to the Australian national team. So imagine if Uruguay finish fifth and play Australia in the playoff. I mean, yeah, it will be. I mean, it can become a really bad scenario, but you know what? We will qualify directly. I have full confidence. I have absolutely full confidence. Hopefully, I do not jinx it, but we will see. No, Lisa, no, I'm not 30. No, no, I look like it, but I'm not. Sorry. No, but yeah, today's my birthday. I mean, it's funny for here for my friend to come in here and mention it. Wasn't intending to mention it, but anyway, thanks a lot for the people who are wishing happy birthday. Yeah, thanks a lot. Nico Maxime says the thing with Palistri is a lot of Alaves fans say that whenever he plays, he is not impactful enough. But to be fair, managers' tactics and style of play are not helping him too. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's the thing. Um, that's the important thing with young players trying to pick their next moves or their lone moves, as it is the case with Palistri. You can have a lot of talent, and Palistri has talent. I completely believe this, and I think he has everything to become a really good player. I'm not sure where his ceiling is, but he can become a really good player. But to play for a team like Alaves, who are struggling in La Liga, playing against relegation, um, it's not ideal. And Pelistri is struggling with this. And the Alaves fans who say he's not impactful enough, they're right. I think their responsibility is with Pelistri himself and with United. Because you know what, Pelistri could have easily gone, and the talk was there. He could have easily gone to Club Brugge or Club Brugge, I think it's pronounced. Um, a club like this was one of the best teams in Belgium. He would be playing attacking football on the front foot, being many more times in front of the goal, trying to create, scoring goals, assisting goals. This would have been ideal for him. Um, but yeah, sometimes there's too little consideration for the development of young players. And I think with Pelistri and maybe Arezzo as well, because Arezzo went to Granada, he's hardly played since he went there. Um, it's brilliant to make your move to Europe, but you have to be really um, careful with your move, with your decision, because it can shape one, two, maybe even 3 seasons of your young career. And these years, it's really important for you to play and to develop as a player. It doesn't have to define you, but it can. You know, Valverde played a season for Deportivo de La Coruña, and he was also on the bench a lot, played out of position a lot, and he has since mentioned that this was a really big year for him in terms of the learning curve. So this can be an instrument to or be instrumental to your next step, but can also be a lot of can also provide hindrance in your development. And yeah, so yeah, it's just important for young players to pick their next move, their low move or their permanent move wisely, because yeah, we have seen plenty of examples of people like Shia Pakase, um, who haven't made the right decisions, and they are where they are right now. I mean, Shia Pakase obviously is not the good example because we all know what is going on with him. He's in prison right now for, well, we're not going into this, but yeah. Jorge Cepero says, and by the way, I'm gonna go through his last comments, but also trying to round it off because already going 1 hour and 10 minutes, and I really like it, love it. But I mean, it's getting a bit late here right now, so probably my concentration will go, which is not a good thing for a stream, I think. Jorge Cepero makes the point which probably any Uruguayan, and I completely agree with it, would make, because the foul which was given to Ghana, which, well, gave them a free kick, and this free kick, Suarez eventually handballed the ball away from the goal line, and this was not a foul. It was really clear. Um, but you know what? I'm gonna play devil's advocate again. This is also football. They win a foul, we win a foul. It's not right. No, it's not right, but it's the way it happens. But eventually, Uruguay went to the semifinals, so but did miss Suarez, which is a shame. Well, yeah, it's the way it is. Long time ago, beautiful memories, by the way. Let's hope we can recreate these type of memories very soon. Yeah, Nico Maxim, I completely agree with you. He did what everybody would do for his team, for his country. Alessandro Vina, good to see you here. Obviously, with Alessandro, we've been doing the streams together in the last few games, and I've not talked with Alessandro about um, these games, but we will most probably do it together again. But Alessandro, if you're still watching, I will probably give you a text today or tomorrow. But yeah, big game Thursday, like he says, and let's do it. Come on, boys. Or girls, whoever's watching, by the way, because I saw Lisa's watching, so yeah, have to. Danny F says Uruguay could finish third, depending on Ecuador dropping points. Yeah, it could happen. But you know, yeah, I mean, you always want to finish as high as possible, but whether you finish fourth or third, it's both direct qualification. So I'm fine with either way. So yeah, let's see. Uh, Lisa Smith, happy birthday, David. Thank you for spending your evening getting us ready for Thursday. Well, appreciate it a lot, Lisa. Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot. And yeah, I mean, it's been a good chat. We talked about a lot of things when it comes to Thursday, but also a lot of other things, because there's a lot going on when it comes to Uruguayan football around the world. You know, with Arajo, with Darwin, all these players doing well. Valverde, Suarez having a tough period. Cavani hardly playing. Yeah, it will be interesting to see how these players coming from different vibes, different momentums, because some players come on an absolute high, and some players come with probably the feeling of trying to make a point. I think Suarez will come to this game. This is why I would certainly start Suarez on Thursday. Suarez will come thinking the way it's going at Atletico, hardly playing at this moment in time. This is completely unusual for Suarez. Suarez always plays and always scores, and now this is happening, and he will come absolutely fired up to help Uruguay go to the World Cup and yeah, just show that even if he is 35 and even he's not the player that he used to be, there's still no one like Suarez. Nicolas, happy birthday. Thank you, Nicolas. I'll be 16 on Wednesday. 3 points will be a fantastic gift. Okay, absolutely will be. And if I not speak to you on Twitter or whatever, also happy birthday to you for Wednesday. Hopefully you enjoy the day, and hopefully a day later you can even have a better day. So let's hope so. Me Gusta Gaming talking about Pelistri. How would they know if he is playing if he is playing only 5 minutes? I'm filling in the blanks here, but that is what I assume you want to say. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's the thing with me as well. I mean, you can talk about a player not getting minutes, so he's not good enough. You know, that's the logic behind it. That because he's not doing well enough on the training or whatever, he's not being picked. But this can be the truth. But there's also countless of examples of players or managers having their favorites or having their certain tactics being a bit pragmatic, and certain players not fitting into this. I mean, Manchester United, for example, is a brilliant example of this. Maguire is probably the worst centre back in English football at this moment in time. Maybe exaggerating a little bit, but Lindelof or even Bailly absolutely are better players than Maguire, but he's still playing. So there are countless of examples in football that players keep being played do not deserve it, and players who deserve a chance do not get a chance. So this might be the case. Whatever. I mean, we will see. Pelistri, I think he will probably play, and hopefully he can come with his A game. And he has had enough rest, so he's fired up. But continuity, consistency, having this this playing time is also important for a lot of players. Jorge Cepero says, it's the last question because we're gonna round it off. It's been really enjoyable, and once again, thanks to you all for being here. Please like the video. It helps me a lot for the visibility on YouTube. So it would be kind of you to do this. And if you're not already, you can subscribe to the channel. And there will be live streams around the games for Peru and Chile. So this will be enjoyable, or let's hope it will be enjoyable. But I'm confident. So Jorge Cepero with the last comment of this live stream, and it's a good one. It's an interesting one. Do you think a Uruguayan will play in a Champions League final? I don't think it will happen, but we can hope. It's a hard one because Uruguayan players at this moment are not playing for what I would believe are the top 4 or top 3 teams in Europe right now. I think Liverpool, Manchester City, and Bayern Munich are the top 3 teams in Europe at this moment in time. There's no Uruguayan there, but there is Suarez and Jimenez at Atletico. There is Federico Valverde at Real Madrid and Darwin Núñez at Benfica. So there are 3 teams with Uruguayan still left in the competition in the quarterfinals. So we can always hope, we can always dream. I think Real Madrid is probably the best bet, when you talk about Uruguayans going to the final. I know they had the result against Barcelona, but Madrid is Madrid. Champions League, it's a club made for the Champions League, and even though the result is really disappointing, it's not like the result against Barcelona is a reflection of their season. So yeah, let's see. Hopefully Uruguay can go to the final and can win it, because it's been a few years already. But yeah. So that's why I'm gonna end the stream. I want to thank you all for being here. Had a little bit of a chat about the games coming up and different topics. I think the feeling is good. Peru at home, sold out stadium. This is the perfect scenario, the perfect stage to go on and win the game and hopefully qualify directly for the World Cup in 2022. And I think Uruguay will do this. I've got confidence that we will do this. We are taking the right path right now. Still a long way to go, but at home against Peru, we can and we will qualify for the World Cup. And then away against Chile, it will be a really interesting game. With Chile probably still have a chance to make it to the World Cup. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting week, a nervous week, but I'm confident that we will do it. So yeah, thanks to you all for being here. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you on Thursday and on Twitter, obviously, in the meanwhile. Okay, thanks for being here. Bye-bye.